Okay, so yesterday we learned about the two first mitzvahs in the Rambam, which is to know that there is Hashem, creator of the whole world, and that He runs every single thing that happens in our world. Now we're going to learn what we have to do about it. We have to love Him. That's the third mitzvah. We have to love Him and fear Him. How do we love and fear Hashem? The Rambam explains. When you think about and you contemplate His wonderful creations, the sky and the earth, if you think about it enough, you will get this wow. Hashem is amazing. I want to get to know Him. That drive to want to know Hashem and connect with Him, that's called love. Allah. Love of Hashem. And this is what David says in the Tehillim so many times. He mentions how much he's thirsty for Hashem. He means he wants to connect to Hashem. He wants to understand Hashem because he sees how great Hashem is. When you think about this even more, what happens is you turn into fear. First, you want to connect, and suddenly you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. He's so big, you're in awe. You stand back. That's yira. Just the two mitzvahs of today is love and fear. You have to love Hashem, but at the same time, that brings the fear of Hashem. Understand how great He is. Which means how great He is and how low you are. And that's why it's a obligation, it says in the Shulchan Aruch, before we dive in, you have to every single Jew before he dive in to contemplate first how great Hashem is, and then how low you are, how small you are compared to Hashem. Think about, let's say you check, you see, even in science, you compared to the sun and the moon and the stars, you're a little piece of sand, a little nothing, right? So now compared to Hashem, which created everything, of course you're a little nothing, right? So the first is you have to see how great Hashem is and have a thirst to connect. Then you stand back in awe. Me, I'm such a little person. How can I even have the chutzpah try to connect with Him? So now, because we need to love and fear Hashem, the Rambam is going to tell us a little bit about Hashem, about His creations, for us to understand how great He is and how to arouse in our hearts love and fear of Hashem. So first, the Rambam starts off. There's three types of creations. Some have a body and a soul. Now, the soul might be last forever, but the body, everybody knows there is nothing in this world that exists forever. Everything eventually goes back to the ground, back to its source. So there's the body and there's the soul. Now there is some creatures that Hashem created. Maybe science doesn't agree with this, but this is what the Torah says, that it actually has an infinite existence. For example, everything in the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, everything, and the Torah says Hashem put it in the sky and it's going to last there forever. There's no way of them ever evaporating. The sun is always going to be there, the moon is always going to be there, the stars are always going to be there, and they're never going to disappear.
And the earth also.
The earth also, the earth, the actual earth. But everything
if the man will blow,
everything on the earth can get a bit smaller and bigger, but the earth itself is always going to be there. Now, human beings also, the fact that every single man can have a child, and he could have a child, he could have a child, is also a concept of infinity, right? It's not how it's possible that people are, have to get people. The older they get, the weaker they get, and the less, power. Everything that exists gets sort of weaker and weaker and weaker, and more vulnerable. How come human beings don't get weaker and weaker and weaker? We still stay. Everyone when they're born with all the energy. Why don't human beings get weaker and weaker and weaker? Because that's also a power of God's infinity. Okay, now there is another thing. So far 1 to 2, stuff that have a soul and body, something that evaporates eventually. Then there is a body which lasts forever, and then there is plain out soul, which that is an angel. Angels have no body; they have only a soul. What makes them different from each other? If they don't have a body, what separates them? So the reason is because every angel has their own intellect, and everyone understands differently Hashem. So their different way of understanding is what makes them differentiate between each angel, and therefore there's thousands and millions and trillions and endless amounts of angels, because there's so many different levels of understanding Hashem. Now, everything that we hear about angels, that they have wings, they look like this, they look like that, it's all a marshal. It's an example. It's not really how they look. Angel is not, you can't see it. It's invisible because angels don't have bodies.
But they can take their physical body also.
But in general, angels don't have bodies. The Rambam actually holds that the angels that Avram saw, he doesn't write this in the Rambam, but he writes somewhere else, was a vision. It wasn't really in the physical world. But That's the Rambam's opinion. Okay. The fifth halacha of the second paragraph Rambam is that there's so many levels, but in general there are 10 levels. And the names of the 10 levels is Chayes. We say in davening, Chayes Afredash, and before Shema. Then there's Efanim. We also mentioned that in davening. Elim, Chashmalim, Srafim. We mentioned that in davening too. Malachim, the famous name Malachim. Elikim, B'nai Elikim, these are the children of God. Kruvim, and the Aron and the Ark and the Holies of Holies is the Kruvim, and the Ishim. So the highest level of all the angels is called Chayes. The lowest level is Ishim. So the angels which speak to the tzaddikim, to the prophets, that's the level of Ishim. The reason why Ishim is the lowest, and Ishim also means Ish, a little bit like a person. Now, all of them know Hashem, like I said before, at different levels. The highest level, like I said, is Chayes, and the lowest level is Ishim. Now,
are the angels live infinity or?
Yes, forever. And just like the stars and the moon and everything. Now, every single thing that exists comes ultimately from Hashem. A mosquito, a worm, an angel, everything comes from Hashem. And therefore, because everything comes from Hashem, Hashem knows about every single thing that's going on in this world. Which means, just like you, when you get a little poke on your finger, you know, or your toe, you know exactly where the poke is, even though you don't see it, because you feel it, because you are the source. Your life is the source of everything in your body, so you feel everything. Hashem is the source of everything. So every little thing that happens in the world, Hashem just knows it. Not because he sees it, or because someone tells him, because he knows it, because he's the source. So it's sort of happening to him. Now, yesterday, the second mitzvah on the Torah, we learned about Hashem Echad. We say every single day, we buy Shema, we say it 2 times a day. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hashem is one. What does it mean Hashem is one? We explained that there's no form, there's no picture, there's no parts.
You just said because
those are angels.
But you said Hashem is.
It's a nickname. So Hashem is one. Now, the question is, I just told you that Hashem has a brain. He knows things. Hashem knows things. Then there's his brain and there's him. Right? I mean, all of us, our brain isn't us. We use our brain to function. But it's not our life. There's our life. There's our brain. By Hashem, it's different. And it's very hard to understand. The Rambam said it's impossible really to 100% comprehend it. But Hashem and this brain and this life, the energy, all of it is one. In other words, he says, this means Hashem is the knower, just like you know. He is the known. He knows because, again, he knows everything because he knows himself. Not like, right? Just like you know how do you know everything that's going on in your body? Because you know yourself. So Hashem knows himself. That's why he knows everything. So he's the knower. He's what's known. And he is also the knowledge, then the brain, not the brain, the intellect, which knows it. So he's all three in one. Because again, Hashem is one, totally one. There's no example for his oneness that we can even find in this world. It's such a oneness, right? No parts to them, and therefore it's not parts to them, it's all one. It's all in one thing. So in other words, Hashem knows you, just like I know you. But his knowledge of you is really him. Now, this is very deep. The Rambam says it very, 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 very fast. So that's why there's many books on Chassidus that explain these deep concepts in many, many, many pages. And if you want to learn some more Chassidus, you can ask me. I can learn with you once in a while. Now, 11, the halacha 11 is everything we said in these prakim is like a drop in a sea. That's how much he just explained all these things. Only a drop in the sea. And it's called Ma'aseh Merkava, these concepts that he just mentioned. And it's so deep that it's actually not people until Chassidus, until the Baal Shem Tov came around, you're not allowed to learn these things in depth. You can read them slowly because it can get you so confused and so dizzy. Don't go there. Only if you're a very smart person, you can learn this. But then what the Chassidus did, it watered it down, it lowered it down. But even people like me and you, we can understand. So therefore, the bottom line from today's Rambam is that every single Jew must learn about Hashem. You have to know Hashem. And you have to not only know Hashem, but have a thirst and a drive to never be satisfied in your knowledge of Hashem and in your connection with Hashem. And therefore, when you dive in and you learn, it can't be cold, it can't be without emotions. It has to be full of emotions, full of excitement. Really, real drive and thirst to understand and connect with Hashem. And it just and you'll see, the more you will learn, the more you want to learn, and the more you want, and the more, you'll never be satisfied because Hashem is endless. See you. Good night.